Our Mexican Grand Prix F1
driver ratings. Woof. This video is sponsored by the wonderful people over at Squarespace. It's driver ratings time. The Mexico City Grand Prix wasn't boring, which means we should get some interesting gradings today.
We sure should. I've watched Zhou Guanyu's race from start to finish.
Why does my man Zhou always get a shout out at the top of the show?
Because this is his series. He sponsors it.
Now my front door's gone. For
Zhou.
Crying out loud. Zhou, I'm sorry. You're getting an 8. Right, let's get into everything, shall we? And begin where we always begin. Kevin, well, not always, because he got banned once, but Kevin Magnussen started 7th, finished 7th. And we are starting this driver ratings with a 10 out of 10. K-Mag, who gave you the chef's apron, my friend? Because he was cooking, seasoning, finished best of the rest, beat Oscar Piastri, so he's actually better than the rest. Magnussen just had pace, he was decisive, and then he just sort of drove on his own. He himself said it was the perfect day, really, so well done, Kevin Magnussen.
Well done indeed. It's also a 10 out of 10 from me. It can't be anything less because it was the perfect drive. Outqualified Hülkenberg, which is no easy thing because we know how good Hulk is, and actually comfortably outqualified him by a few places as well. And then, to beat a McLaren in the race, even if that McLaren started at the back, is an amazing performance. He was only a few seconds off Max Verstappen at the end as well.
Yeah, it was like 3.5 seconds or so. Like,
unbelievable.
Go get Max, and you're getting an 11, K-Mag. Like, we'll all forget about your race
We would actually allow it, I think.
Well done, K-Mag. The fans also gave Kevin Magnussen a 10. Nico Hülkenberg started 10th, finished 9th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10. I think he'd have absolutely taken a slightly disappointing weekend being starting 10th and finishing 9th last year. So Haas are just looking very, very nice indeed, but he wasn't on his teammates' level, which was surprising, not just in the race but qualifying as well.
Absolutely, I've gone for an 8 out of 10 as well for Nico. He's lost a little bit of that quali prowess that in the last few weekends. A few mistakes creeping in for Nico, which is very unheard of for him because that's what we all seem to very much praise about his driving. But look, he's getting an 8 out of 10. He's still scoring a couple of points for Haas that are doing unbelievably well this season, and they continue to score double points in a lot of weekends, and it's seriously impressive. So well done to them. The fans gave Nico an 8 as well. If you're looking to create a stunning website, Squarespace is your go-to platform. It's an all-in-one solution that really empowers entrepreneurs. I've been using it, and let me tell you, the experience has been fantastic. One of my favourite features is Design Intelligence. It combines 2 decades of design expertise with AI, helping you craft a personalised website that truly reflects your brand. It's like having a design expert by your side. Then there's Squarespace Payments, where managing transactions is so simple. You can accept a variety of payment methods, making it super convenient for your customers. And let's not forget Blueprint AI. This tool helps you build a custom site in just a few clicks. It takes your basic info and transforms it into a beautifully designed website, complete with curated content that matches your aesthetic. If you want to give it a try, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, check out squarespace.com/P1 to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Trust me, you won't regret it. Zhou Guanyu started 19th, finished 15th. I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Zhou Guanyu, and I know a lot of Zhou lovers will be very upset with a straight down the middle because we like more aggressive grades, but it is a 5 out of 10 from me because, well, look, he didn't finish last, but the only reason he didn't finish last is because it was Lawson and Perez who, they had their own shenanigans going on. But look, he finished 20 seconds behind Bottas, which I think is actually not horrendous. He also said that he was suffering with brake overheating early on. I've factored in a lot of things with this show grade, and I've gone straight down the middle with a 5.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 as well for Zhou Guanyu, which I can't believe I'm giving him a 5 out of 10 for beating a Red Bull in a race, but context, of course. Yeah, he didn't seem as bad as kind of normal in the race in particular. Qualifying still, how he always manages to be so easily last is baffling, to be honest.
The fans gave Zhou a 4. The absolute disrespect to Zhou the Goat. Mad. Valtteri Bottas started 15th, finished 14th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Valtteri Bottas, which is probably the highest grade for a 14th place finish you'll ever see.
Yeah, crazy.
But he is driving an absolute tractor. I think this is more what he did in qualifying. I think he would have done even better had there not been a red flag, and he could have started maybe even 12th, 13th, which would have been even more impressive. Yeah, his race was looking all right, but the Sauber is just woeful. He was up there at one point, but did the usual thing where you kind of forgot that he'd not pitted yet and went, he might get a point. No, he's nowhere near.
I've not gone as appreciative of Bottas's performance. I've gone for a 7. He only finished 20 seconds ahead of Zhou. I can't give Zhou a 5 and Bottas an 8. I know his qualifying was pretty decent, making it through to Q2, but no, I don't think decent. we can't sway to quali grades just because that's the thing that stands out. For the race, Zhou was with him until he wasn't. Yeah, it's a shame. Bottas finishing only 14th when we had 3 DNFs as well. I can't give him any higher than a 7 for me. So that's what I'm going to give him. And the fans gave him a 7 as well. Yuki Tsunoda started 11th, didn't finish. Now this is a difficult one because not only did he crash at the start, but he also crashed in qualifying. I've gone for a 3. Look, quali was his mistake. Smashed the car, but was still able to start 11th. And then I think it was unlucky. I think there was an element of a lunge from Yuki as well to really make up a few positions at the beginning. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it was aggressive to try and make up some positions. And then it was, of course, unlucky with Albon and then Gasly as well, sort of coming across. But I can't give him a 5 because he's had 2 crashes in a weekend. So surely that deserves some kind of demotion there. So that's gone for a 3.
I've gone for a 4 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda. Qualifying, it was a disaster, even though he outqualified his teammate, but he did that thanks to a spin because Lawson couldn't carry on his lap. And then the first lap is a racing incident, but you do risk it by diving round the outside. It's one of those things where you look a hero if you make it, and if you don't, you look a bit silly. And unfortunately for Yuki, disastrous weekend for him.
The fans gave Yuki a 5. Liam Lawson started 12th, finished 16th.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Liam Lawson. He's a difficult one to grade because he's had a lot of kind of 50-50 incidents. I think he was quite chaotic in some of his driving. I think even the move with Colapinto that Colapinto got a penalty for, I think he shoved him off very aggressively, and then was obviously very aggressive with Perez as well, which when you're trying to get a Red Bull seat, is it the best idea? Maybe racing that hard with a Red Bull is not what your team bosses want to see. And then with his front wing damage, he was never going to get any points, so a disappointing weekend really.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Lawson as well. Not a great weekend, I would say, for Lawson. I know he is trying desperately to make a mark, be this FU kind of character, I think, that he's sort of establishing quite quickly. And look, if he wants to be another Max Verstappen, then that's the chaos that it's going to bring. But I feel like there are ways of going about it in these first few races to ensure that for his own career, that he doesn't sort of burn too many bridges before it's even begun. And I think that picking and choosing your battles wisely is definitely one of them. And with Perez, that was look, I think Perez had a part to play in that wheel-to-wheel combat for sure, but Lawson also needs to kind of understand where the lines should be, and you don't want to be messing up your relationship with Red Bull. It's literally your employer. The fans gave Lawson a 6. Franco Colapinto started 16th, finished 12th. I have gone for a 6 out of 10 for Franco Colapinto. An all right weekend. Qualifying was a bit disappointing. To be knocked out in Q1, I think that put him on the back foot pretty massively. Obviously made up a few positions in the race to finish 12th, got involved, as we just mentioned, with the Lawson incident, which, look, it's 2 rookies fighting, and I think there's just trying to learn just how long and wide your car is at all times, and I think that was pretty much the reasoning for that collision that happened. But Franco's still, for me, impressing. It just wasn't as good a performance, similarly to Lawson, as things we've seen gone by.
I've also gone for a 6 out of 10 for Franco Colapinto. by his own high standards this year, it wasn't as impressive as he has been. I think if Logan Sargent had finished 12th, we'd be giving him a 9 out of 10, but such as how Franco's been and what that Williams is doing, it's not as impressive as kind of what it has been. I think in particular his qualifying to get knocked out was very disappointing when Albon had such a sensational qualifying. I do think he's unlucky in the incident with Lawson. I think it's a racing incident. I think his 10-second penalty is very harsh and the penalty points. But if he'd have kind of just stopped in the runoff area, Lawson probably would have got a penalty for pushing him off. He still finished no lower than 12th, which is actually a very good start indeed for Franco.
Very impressive indeed. The fans gave him a 6. Alex Albon started 9th, did not finish.
Yes, I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Alex Albon. Obviously, his race ended at turn 1, so it's mainly going off qualifying, which was very impressive indeed.
I just want to butt in with that one. I felt like we usually go for 5s, but I know that we sometimes go 1 up or down if quali is decent. We're going for 2 now.
Yes, because he was in Q3 and his teammate was in Q1.
I know, but I know that there are people that go, how can we give him a 7 when he's not done 1 corner?
I
think that's a bit high of a grade for literally not doing the race. I'm just going to come in here as referee, and I'm not
as
even
a referee. But
have we ever given anyone a 7 for literally not doing?
But my
the race?
logic, yes. But my logic is, could he have? We've given like Max Verstappen doing 1 lap and then his car exploding like a 10, haven't we? So, well, we did because we said he was going to win the race. So, or gave it an NA, didn't we? Albon, can I give him worse than Colapinto though? But he's not done the race.
Yeah, he's literally not done.
I know.
Race. Look, I'm just covering the conversation because I know it will happen in the comments.
No, I'm giving him a 7.
But if you want to commit to that, that's fine. Yeah, it's my grade.
It's my grade.
I will do it.
And I will do it. Yeah,
okay.
7 for Albon because we're rating his weekend, and now I'm thinking rating his weekend, and he crashed with Ollie Behrman. It's a 6 out of 10 for Alex Albon.
Tommy, you can't do this.
Well, stop changing my mind then.
Sorry for having a debate on a podcast.
6 out of 10 for Albon.
So I've gone for a 10 out of 10 for Alex Albon. I think it was a great qualifying performance. I have also gone for a 6 out of 10 for Alex. It was a great Q3 appearance. He even, I think, said that he could have gone even better than 9th. And then, of course, DNF, he didn't do anything wrong in that whole debacle. It was just very unfortunate, and then had to pull over because I think his suspension was broken. The fans gave him a 5. Esteban Ocon started from the pit lane, finished 13th. Do we have confirmation as to whether he has the upgrades yet?
No, and I cannot find it.
Okay. Is that how little Alpine is spoken about, that we don't actually know what they're running? Okay, well, it's still a 5 out of 10 for Ocon. It was a pretty anonymous weekend from Ocon to be knocked out in Q1. Then, of course, they decided to make some changes, so he started from the pit lane. Is it a 6? Because he is an Alpine, but then, you know what? I'll give him a 6 because he started from the pit lane and only finished about 19 seconds behind Gasly. So, yeah,
he did have the upgrades.
He did have the upgrades. He still gets a 6. Or does he? Started from the pit lane, started 13th, finished 13th. Oh my God! Yes, it's a 6 out of 10 for Ocon. A decent pit lane drive, despite the terrible qualifying. Finished less than 20 seconds behind his teammate, so yes.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Esteban Ocon. When you were umming and ahhing between a 5 and a 6, I thought you were going to say a 4 and a 5, because that's what I was debating between, because, yeah, that was a really poor qualifying to be 19th when Gasly was 8th. Ouch.
The fans gave Ocon a 5. Pierre Gasly started 8th, finished 10th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly. Good performance. It's good that he actually managed to get the result in this time to get a point. Probably would be hoping for more based on where he qualified. Got to think that maybe Nico Hülkenberg was beatable, and we'll never know exactly with car performance where they are, but you'd expect Gasly to be racing the Hasses based on what happened in COTA with those new upgrades.
I've also gone for an 8 out of 10 for Gasly. I don't think the Hasses were manageable, beatable, raceable at all. Gasly was 17 seconds behind Hülkenberg, I think, at the end. So it was Haas were in a sort of, well, they were close to being in Formula A this weekend just gone. So very impressive from Haas. But yeah, look, it's a much better performance for Alpine. Good to see Gasly actually score a point after. It wasn't a disaster in COTA, but it was certainly it was disappointing, wasn't it, to see him not score a point despite the pace that he was showing. So that's why I've gone for an 8, and the fans gave him an 8 as well. Lance Stroll started 14th, finished 11th. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Stroll. He finished not that far off the points, had a reasonable race. Didn't do anything silly. I don't think I saw him the entire race, but I've given him slightly higher than straight down the middle because he finished 11th and there were no incidents to speak about. Well done, Stroll.
I got for a 5 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. Very much a straight down the middle performance. He's kind of not done anything particularly amazing with his car in qualifying, and then in a race with quite a few retirements, he's kind of finished ahead of a few drivers. So yeah, not really much to report for Stroll. Aston Martin have just fallen off so much, and they are not even close to Formula A anymore.
The fans gave Stroll a 5. Fernando Alonso started 13th, did not finish.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Fernando Alonso. Not the race weekend he'd have wanted for his 400th Grand Prix. I saw that he actually retired from his 200th Grand Prix and his 300th Grand Prix, and now his 400th Grand Prix. But he was never going to really do much in that Aston Martin anyway. Qualified a little better than Stroll and then just retired, so I've gone straight down the middle.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 as well. Look, a qualifying that didn't end the way he wanted, with Tsunoda smashing it into the wall. Otherwise, I think he reckoned he would have made it into Q3, but alas, that did not happen, and then he DNF'd, so it's straight down the middle. The fans gave him a 5 as well. Oscar Piastri started 17th, finished 8th. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Oscar. Scored a few points, but overall, not good enough. It was a weekend to forget for him again. To be knocked out in Q1 is absolutely not good enough. A decent recovery drive to make it somewhere in the points, but still got beaten by a Haas. But then again, Verstappen was being caught by Magnussen, so I'm not going to call Haas the dustbin that it once was. But Oscar needs to come back in Brazil because Lando needs him, McLaren need him, because Ferrari are coming.
I've gone for a 4 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. I think it was a really disappointing weekend for him. Obviously, the qualifying was what really hindered his weekend. And made it very difficult for him. But I don't even know if I could say it was a great recovery drive, because he still finished behind, Verstappen, who had 20 seconds worth of penalties. He's driving a McLaren that Lando almost won the race in. We've seen drives through the field in Mexico before. Lando did it last year, and I expected him to finish higher. So yeah, not good from Oscar this weekend.
All right, Tommy, yep, you've convinced me to go down 1 grade to a 5. Fair enough, because I just did the math and he finished nearly a minute behind Lando. So, yeah, fair enough. I'm going to downgrade him to a 5. Yeah, that was a pretty poor performance from oh, God, was it? I've said poor. 5 is not poor.
I don't think 17th to 8th in a McLaren is a good weekend at all, personally.
No, it's not, but it's still 5. 5 out of 10. Let us know your thoughts. I know you've already written them. And yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, the fans gave Oscar a 6. Lando Norris started 3rd, finished 2nd.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lando Norris. Maybe could have won the race without the Verstappen incident and being held up. The only thing I can really sort of downgrade him on is his race start. Could have been a bit more aggressive. He seemed to second guess himself and go down the inside, but then he put the move on Max that was bold and brave and the kind of thing that he needed to do, but Max was Max and made sure it didn't happen. And then yeah, it was the race he needed, and yeah, it was a great performance from Lando, all things considered.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 as well for Lando. I think it was a really good weekend from him. He would have, in my opinion, I think he would have won the race had Max not done his things to him, but alas, that's what happened. And I think Lando conducted himself very maturely in that battle, didn't get involved, didn't have a crash with him, managed to get Leclerc at the end. So yeah, I think it was a very strong race from Lando and exactly what he needed. I think, well, apart from winning, that would have been a lot better for his championship chances, but it's still a very strong performance, and that's why I've gone for a 9. The fans gave him a 9 as well. Carlos Sainz started first, finished first. Oh, could not be the more perfect 10 out of 10. Brilliant throughout. Perfect, I would say, almost, because Carlos just was in, I would say, a league of his own, because he just knuckled down, got pole position. His teammate, who is Charles Leclerc, is literally one of, if not the best qualifiers on the grid. Carlos had more pace than him there, and then also drove away from him at the race. I've seen some people saying that Ferrari were sacrificing Charles Leclerc's race for Carlos to win. That is absolute rubbish. I can't believe, just because Charles was asked to manage temperatures and all this sort of stuff, and of course Carlos coming over the radio saying, why are we pushing so hard? Charles Leclerc would have caught and passed him if he could. That is my opinion on where Charles would have been and his mindset. So
we've literally seen Ferrari let them race so much.
Exactly. So I think Carlos won it fair and square, and he should be very proud of this performance. I'm so glad he got another win before the end of his Ferrari career.
It was absolutely perfect. I've gone for a 10 out of 10 as well. The fact that he put in not just 1 but 2 amazing qualifying laps, good enough for pole position, to beat Charles Leclerc in qualifying by the margin he did, and then to pass Max Verstappen with the move that he did as well was so good, so decisive. It's not an easy thing to pass Max Verstappen, we've seen, and of course, I can already hear people saying Max isn't going to race Carlos like he is with Lando because Carlos isn't in the championship, but it's still no mean feat to surprise Max Verstappen with a move like that for the lead. Left it kind of very late, so Max wasn't thinking that he was even going to go for the move. Managed the whole race perfectly. When Carlos wins, he seems to really, put in such a good 10 out of 10 performance, and this is the same again.
The fans, unsurprisingly, gave him a 10 as well. Charles Leclerc started 4th, finished 3rd.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. I can't give him a 9 based on, finishing 3rd. That mistake that almost made your soul left your body during that moment. And he just wasn't there with Carlos this weekend, which is very rare indeed, because normally Charles is the quicker driver of the two. A difficult weekend still being a P3 kind of shows what a great season Charles is having.
Absolutely, I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Charles as well. It was a decent weekend, but a surprising lack of pace compared to Carlos. As you say, Tommy, we're so used to Charles having that edge, especially in the races, but that didn't happen. It was a straight dogfight after the whole Lando-Max shenanigans that went on, and Charles didn't have the pace, especially in that first stint, fell away from Carlos quite dramatically. Charles gets an 8 from me, and the fans gave him an 8 as well. George Russell started 5th, finished 5th. 7 out of 10, I think it was, considering he smashed his car to pieces, and I think he lost the upgrades again because he crashed his car in tyre testing. To still out-qualify Hamilton was pretty impressive, and then lacked a bit of pace compared to Hamilton in the race, which is very standard, and lost out in the battle with his teammate, but they were both reasonably close with each other most of the weekend, so I'm going for a 7.
I'm going for a 7 as well for George Russell. Yeah, good recovery considering the bad moment in practice to damage his car. Very costly for Mercedes, but drove a good race, and his battle with Hamilton was brilliant. Yeah, good performance from George.
The fans gave George a 7 as well. Lewis Hamilton started 6th, finished 4th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10. Very close between him and George, but the reason I'm giving Hamilton an extra point is 1, because he's beaten him and overtaken him in the race, and 2, because he didn't damage his car, which is why it's almost a downgrade really from George, from an 8 to a 7. Yeah, P4 in that Mercedes is about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, I've also gone for an 8 for Lewis Hamilton. I think I echo your thoughts pretty much exactly, Tommy. I think can't quite give George and Lewis the same grade, considering one of them did a huge amount of damage to their car during the weekend and the other one didn't. Poor qualifying from Hamilton, it has to be said again. I think he was a few tenths off of his teammate, but still managed to slot in P6, but no surprise. Hamilton came alive in the race and beat his teammate. So, yeah, 8 out of 10 from me. The fans gave him a 7. Okay, lock in, strap in, get your seatbelts on. Sergio Perez started 18th, finished 17th. It's a 0. It's a 0 out of 10 for Sergio Perez. Why? Why? I mean, how? How can it get worse? How can... That's probably one of the worst weekends. And this is off the back of the Mexico City Grand Prix from 2023, where he smashed his car at turn 1 trying to win the race. And we're like, how can it get worse at his home race? And I think it did. Being knocked out in Q1, being involved in an incident, and then finishing last at his home race. I know pit for fastest lap. He finished last in a Red Bull, which I know is not the fastest car. But Verstappen is still finishing 4th, probably. If he didn't have that 20-second penalty, I can't give him any higher than a 0, and it's really sad.
Yeah, I've gone for a 0 as well. It is sad to witness because we know he's a much better driver than this. He has done brilliant things in Formula 1, but this was probably... Well, I'm not even going to say probably. It's the worst race he's had in his career. It was the fact that it happened in Mexico as well is painful. You know, you listed off all those things, you forgot that he didn't even line up in his grid box properly as well, just to add insult to injury. The fact that Verstappen's got 20 seconds worth of penalties and, you know, the pit crew have to play musical statues for 20 seconds and Verstappen still comes out the pits ahead of him. It's crazy. So it can't be anything other than a 0. It is truly the worst it could possibly get. And I feel sorry for him.
The fans, unsurprisingly, gave him a 0 as well. All right, we're off to now Max Verstappen land, who started 2nd and finished 6th.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10. This will be a very decisive grade, of course. We saw the very best and the very worst of Max Verstappen. Qualified extremely well when he was under pressure. You know, we were singing his praises after qualifying because he'd put in an amazing performance when under a huge amount of pressure, had 1 lap to deliver after the track limits mistake. And then his race start, again, got into the lead at Mexico. No matter where he starts, he always seems to lead into turn 1 at Mexico. Made it look so easy, even though P2 is not really where you want to be starting the race. So that was the good side of Verstappen's race. And then you see the worst side of his performance, which is him just being so desperate and public lobby kind of driving. It's the kind of driving that you race with someone in an online game and you get annoyed at them because you're like, why can't we just have fun and actually enjoy this race together? And of course, he's not there to make friends. The way he drives is all calculated. We said this in the race podcast that in a weird way, he's kind of gained from the system again because he's got 20 seconds worth of penalty, but Lando's winning the race and he's actually minimised that points deficit by going for an absolutely outrageous lunge, holding up Lando, making sure he's not winning the race, and then recovering to 6th. It's really not the driving I like to see, and it's difficult as someone that supports him because I supported him because I like to watch the moves. I don't want to see these overtakes where he's just pushing people off the track and making desperate lunge because it's not fun to watch. Like, that's not the kind of racing I want to see. Actually, just one more thing. I can't give him a worse grade than Piastri, which is why it's a 5 as well, and I gave Piastri a 4 because he's somehow beaten Piastri still with all those penalties.
I feel like Piastri and Verstappen grades are very different things that could come together. Like, they are very difficult and very different to judge. Okay, I know everyone likes a disagreement here, so lock yourselves in, because I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. I think that it sums it up pretty perfectly what Max has really delivered this time round. I know some people will be like, no, 0, I hate this racing. And some will go, yeah, but come on, he got back to 6th with 20 seconds worth of penalties. It depends how you judge it. It's, I know that you say, I support Max because of his late braking and all this sort of stuff. Sadly, Tommy, you can't have both with Max Verstappen. You can't just have the positive, beautiful stuff without some of the negative. And that's what Max brings. He is a ruthless champion, and that is what he showed this time out. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that he felt the need to do what he did with Lando. It felt very 2021. It felt like they were level on points in the final race,
that's the
kind of
thing,
desperation.
Yeah.
Look, I hope it sparks even more discussion and more debate within the FIA, Formula One, as to what they do now, because this is not what I want to see as a Formula One fan. I want to see prolonged battles over several laps where it's fair, right? I don't want it to be over in half a lap because Max doesn't want to fight Lando or doesn't think that he has the car in order to fight him. So he's like, right, I'm going to lunge him instead and screw his race. It's just such a confusing rule book at the moment that what's allowed,
and he
what
plays
isn't.
the rule book, doesn't he? Because
yeah, and he plays the rule book.
It.
But I think with Kota, you saw with Kota, he was absolutely on the limit of the rules, got away with it. But sadly, for him, he misjudged it with turn 4, and then I think he lashed out in turn 8. And it's not good enough, sadly. But then there were moments of brilliance in him to come through to 6th, just showing that Max is one of the best drivers, if not the best driver on the grid. 5 out of 10 from me. The fans gave him a 6. However, it was very split between a 4 and a 6. So let us know your thoughts. I'm sure you will. That was I bet you've waited. A lot of you have waited for this moment to judge Max Verstappen. I look forward to reading all of your very kind and composed thoughts in the comments. And that then leads us to who is our P1? It has to be Carlos. As much as I'd love to give it to Kevin Magnussen, because I don't think he's ever been anyone's P1, sadly, in driver ratings. It has to be Carlos because it was such a perfect weekend from start to finish. It wasn't like it was a unexpected victory. It was on from Friday. So for me, Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I've got to go for Carlos as well, as much as I'd love to give it to K-Mag. I think if Carlos had maybe had a worse qualifying or not put that move on Max or something, you might have been like, oh, well, actually K-Mag, because they kind of both had like the perfect weekend, really, but Sainz's was perfecter. So, which is definitely a word that I've just made up.
English, yeah. There you go then. Thank you everybody for watching and listening to this driver ratings for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Remember, P1 live show, end of season banger show, right? It's like nothing you've never seen before, ever seen before even. If you've been to a show before, don't worry, completely different, a lot of fun. We are very excited to bring you this middle of December show. It's like a nice little Christmas present, little Christmas outing. It's going to be so Christmassy, Tommy. Are you going? Oh, we can wear like Christmassy stuff.
Up in a little bow, yeah.
And then I'm gonna. And anyway, so yes, that's do it. Live on stage. Can't wait to see you there.
Well,
link will be all over our socials, also in the description. Lots of love. Take care. Sweet dreams. Pushing in the gym. I didn't say keep, just pushing. Yeah, what a time to be alive, hey Tommy. Keep hoovering. If you're hoovering right now and you can hear the podcast, then you've maybe got noise-cancelling headphones, so good on you for that.
There's someone
purchase.
at the door.
There's someone at the door. Oh, God, is there? Well, you better check. There might be someone at the door. You might be buying dog food. If you are, that'd be quite something, wouldn't it, if you're in a pet shop?
Speculative. We're just going to make every speculative comment until someone messages going, yes, this exact thing happened as I said it.
And by the way, you missed that crease. Keep ironing. That one in the corner right there. Yeah, there you go.
If this has happened to you, you have to message us, by the way. If
Please.
You're literally buying dog food and you've got an earphone in.
You have to show us a picture, though, right? You can't just be like, yeah, it happened to me. Show us a picture, okay? Because we'd love to see it. And don't forget, there's one additional clothing item in the washing machine which you haven't taken out. So, all right, well, this is getting weird. Bye!